The Denver Nuggets, they take care of business in Sacramento in a game that had so many ups and downs, but they end up having one of the best shot-making displays I have seen from a Denver Nuggets team in quite some time. And y'all, Russell Westbrook, he continues to prove and show that he is everything the Denver Nuggets were hoping they were getting. Y'all, this is Swiper, Locked On Nuggets. Let's get it.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome into Locked On Nuggets. This is your man, Swiper. This is your team every day. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to everybody that's in here listening, including the hater Cedric Exquisite. Shout out to everybody. What's going on, Nolan? What's going on, everybody that's in the chat already? Y'all, this is going to be a great episode. I'm excited. I'm hyped, y'all. That was an amazing end to the game yesterday. Y'all, the college football playoff is here, and you don't want to miss a moment of the action. The college football playoff is presented by Allstate, begins with 4 first-round games, December 20th and 21st on ESPN, ABC, TNT, and Max. Y'all make sure y'all tap in. Y'all, let me know. I'm telling y'all, how do y'all feel about that win yesterday? I'm not going to lie to y'all. It was looking real bleak. Jokic wasn't shooting the ball well. Jamal Murray wasn't shooting the ball well. The Denver Nuggets, they get up 41-21. 41-21. And they end up being in a situation where they're like, all right, bet. I guess we're going to relax. Jokic goes out. I guess we're going to kind of take our foot off the gas. But then the Sacramento Kings, shout out to them, because this actually is a show of their grit and their determination, coached by Mike Brown. They said, nah, not today. We're not going to give up that easily. The game is not over. We are going to respond. And that was a great response by the Sacramento Kings, y'all. They pushed this game to the brink. Honestly, y'all, there was even one point in time in this game where I was looking at the score. The Nuggets were down 8 with maybe 3 minutes and some change left. And I was just like, yeah, it might be cooked. It really might be cooked for this team. Because if you just watched the momentum and how the game had gone, it looked like this was going to be a game that the Denver Nuggets would be able to pull out and pull off. And then they could just continue to go on their rhythm, go on their roll. And I was like, all right, cool. You know, first half comes, first quarter comes. Honestly, the first quarter was very reminiscent of the game versus the Miami Heat in the NBA Finals in Game 1. Again, remember, everybody saw this with Aaron Gordon getting those post mismatches versus Gabe Vincent or versus Kyle Lowry or whoever else. The Nuggets just kept spamming that matchup. Caleb Martin spamming that matchup and saying, we're going to get Aaron Gordon wide open every single time we can. And that was a part of today's adjustment and the plan with this team, is that they had DeMar DeRozan guarding Aaron Gordon. And DeMar, you know what? He tried his best, but DeMar, he's not a small dude. He's 6'6", but just for what you need to guard Aaron Gordon, that's just not going to be enough. And he was able to make like real easy work of DeMar DeRozan to start this game off. And I was actually really, really happy with how the Nuggets started in terms of their physicality and how they were showing up to the game and how they were continuing to just kind of go through their offense. And they were playing really smart NBA basketball. And that's kind of what you're looking for from the Nuggets at this point in time, because the Nuggets, you know, they've had a very interesting season. They started off, I think they were 7-3. Jokic goes on his PTO time to have his child. Then he comes back. The rhythm is off. They lose to the Clippers, not playing defense in the third quarter, despite being up 10 points in LA. There are just so many different iterations of this team where you're like, we just need more. And in this game, to start the game off, Aaron Gordon had 14 points, 4-4 for the free throw line. He was 5 of 9 from the field. He was 5 of 8 from 2. And he, again, was just dominating every single possession. In the first quarter, Jamal Murray looked really good. Jamal Murray, who had a very good first quarter and then an elite fourth quarter. That was basically where his production came from. And then when he subsequently struggled in the second and third quarter, that's when you saw the Sacramento Kings continue to go on their run. And Jamal Murray in the first quarter had 9 points. He was 4-7 from the field. He was 1 of 2 from the three-point line. And what I did love about what Jamal was doing is that he was being fairly aggressive, but it was like comfortably aggressive. It wasn't an aggressiveness that was taking away from the team, taking away from the flow of the game. It was just simply a dude getting into rhythm and putting shots up. In the first quarter, the Sacramento Kings, they shot 1 of 11 from the three-point line. 1 of 11. And they shot 8 of 14 from 2. So the Nuggets were just shutting their water off. And then even when they were getting open three-pointers, they were just making sure that if they got an open three-pointer, they were putting a hand up as quick as possible. And that was also helping to contribute to why they were missing so many three-pointers. And the defense was honestly, it was amazing in the first quarter. Across the board, in that first quarter yesterday, Jokic only ends up with 4 points. But he had 6 assists and 3 rebounds in the fourth quarter. His playmaking yesterday was tremendous, even though his shot making really kind of waxed and waned over the course of the game. But y'all, like I said, this is the kind of stuff that you wanted to see from them. And especially as the Nuggets are trying to develop good habits, they're trying to develop good consistency. They're trying to do some of the things that they haven't been able to prove to do for most of this year. They were just able to kind of put some stuff on paper and say that when we play physical, when we want to make sure that we're continuing to find ways to attack and get easy baskets, we can do it. But then generating threes is the other side of this. And I think this is also the problem of the second and third quarter. Because when the Kings, when they needed to get back in the game, they were able to rely on a three-point shot that the Nuggets just quite simply just do not have right now. The Nuggets, they went 1 of 5 from the three-point line in the second quarter. The Kings went 3 of 6. So they get outscored from the three-point line in that quarter. The Nuggets went 3 of 5 from the free throw line. The Kings went 12 of 12. And they started to just absolutely win the free throw battle. And they also shot 67% from the field. The Nuggets shot 52%, 20%, and 60%. So that's why the lead had really gotten down to what it was. And what I do think, and they gave up 47 points, by the way, in that second quarter. What I do think is important to note here, as the Nuggets are trying to figure out, like, hey, this is the best personnel matchups. This is how people need to be on the court. And obviously, today there was no Christian Brown in that game either. So not having Christian Brown made a lot of a difference in terms of the defensive execution that they had across the board. But honestly, Russell Westbrook's defense, we're going to get to him in the next segment. But I truly think, man, Russ has helped to revitalize and rebuild the Denver Nuggets identity, and on both ends because of the energy that he plays with and how consistently hard he's able to play. I mean, that makes honestly like such a big difference. And then, like I said, for the course of that first half, the Nuggets had periods where they played really strong, but then eventually their shot making dried up. And by the time they got to Jokic, it's already back in the game. The momentum had been so sieged by the Kings that they took a 14-point lead and brought it all the way down to a 7-point lead. So a lot of really interesting things kind of had to happen. But then y'all get to the fourth quarter, man. My goodness. This was a vintage Denver Nuggets fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter, y'all, Jamal Murray has 15 points. He goes 5 of 7 from the field. He goes 3 of 3 from the three-point line. And he goes 2 of 2 from the free throw line. Has an assist and then has a rebound. And he's a plus 14 in that quarter as well. Again, that's a big deal. Like, that's a really big deal. I think for Jamal, a lot of this is just going to be, can you get into rhythm? Can you take care of yourself? Can you make sure that, when you're trying to get to the basket, you're doing so smartly at smart times, that you're trying to create contact when you can, that when you get to your mid-range spot, you'll be able to kind of finish and flourish and all that stuff. Like, there's just a lot that you want to be able to make sure as a scorer that you get to, that I do think he was able to access in the fourth quarter, which ended up making a world of a difference in the game. And I am just so impressed with that two-man game, y'all. Like, De'Aaron Fox was giving it his all. And after Sabonis made a late three, the rest of the team was giving it its all. But for you to be able to get Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic in that kind of action, that consistently, man, I'm telling y'all, look out. something could be on the way. But y'all, on the other side, we're going to finish up that segment. We're going to talk about Russell Westbrook, because I do think there's a lot to be said about what Russ has added to the scene just so far. We'll be right back to talk about more on Locked On Nuggets. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL, all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook partner with the NFL, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. We'll be right back for more here on Locked On Nuggets. Yes, sir. We are back here at Locked On Nugget. This is your host, Swiper. This is your team every day. Y'all, make sure if you're listening to this on the Apple iTunes side, give us a 5-star review. That way more and more people can listen to the great content being made here at Locked On Nuggets. And if you're on the YouTube side, y'all, we are on the way to 10,000 subscribers. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. It's important. It helps the channel to grow. It helps people to get involved with what's happening here at Locked On Nuggets. And it also lets people know that you're not alone, that when you stayed up last night to watch that game, you're not alone, that other people are there to celebrate with you across the world. And it was an incredible game, y'all. And again, I just want to really clear this part out. But I think that there's something brewing with Jamal Murray and Jokic. There's something brewing with Jamal Murray and Jokic. Now, this doesn't mean that Jamal Murray, or Jokic for that matter, that they played super well yesterday. They didn't. But what you're finding out is that as Murray continues to get reacclimated to who he is and the way he's supposed to play, there are just things about his game that I think have proven to be pretty salient and pretty good and pretty dominant and pretty elite. And then honestly, y'all, another point yesterday, you look at the clutch stats. So the Nuggets haven't had the best year. They have not had the best year in the clutch like we normally have used to seeing them, but they're 8-6, which is not great. But the Magic are 7-4 at 2, Spurs are 7-3 at 3, OKC's 4-3, and they're at 4. The Nuggets, they have a plus 13.5 net rating in the clutch, and most of that is going to be because their offense is third. They have a 127.4 offensive rating in the clutch, and you know they just were able to execute down the stretch. They made 7 straight buckets. 7 straight buckets. And the way they were able to do it, Aaron Gordon pull up 3, Jamal Murray being able to kind of snake, give a little shoulder, hit the 10-footer, and then on the other end for Jamal to be able to drive, throw it out to Jokic. Jokic makes his first 3 of the game. And then on the other end, you know, it's just about like how can you close and just kind of pretty prototypical standard pick and roll. And they did it really well. So shout out to the Denver Nuggets for doing that, y'all. But Russell Westbrook, man. Now, if you heard me at all talk about Russell Westbrook, I did speculate that he could be a good ad for the Denver Nuggets just because there are just so many things that he does so well. And whether it's just attacking, being aggressive, I mean, just the way that he's able to pass the ball. And then I think the IQ, like how he thinks through the game, all that stuff is things that the Nuggets needed. And y'all, if you look at like the sample sizes, man, I mean, the dude is playing like really, really, really well for most of the year. Now, again, like there's obviously, you know, time for things to be fleshed out a little bit more. I think some of the shooting woes are things to be worried about. But I do think that if you're just talking about like kind of the impact stuff, Russell Westbrook's his ad has been so valuable because he really offers them so much as an all-ball scorer, but also an on-ball scorer. But also on the other end, I think his rebounding and stuff has truly like made a really big difference. And again, Russ, despite the fact that many people just besides this, and that's why I titled the thumbnail "Rags to Riches," because the way Russ was talked about before he got in Denver, he's washed, he can't contribute, he's selfish. There's just things that he's unwilling to do for his team. And, that's like, it's not what you hear that stuff and you're like, okay, let's hope for the best. Let's hope that's not the case. But then he gets to Denver, and I think his ability to like just be involved, to just support, to even as a leader, because, it's Russell Westbrook. So obviously he's one of the leaders. He's one of the most recognizable figures in the league. It's not in such a way that's like overbearing, but he really just wants to encourage, to support, and make sure you care about what's happening. Like, make sure you pay attention to what's happening to everybody. So, man, Russ is just such a salient leader, and what he's been able to offer to this team has just been amazing. And if you look at the two-man game this year, Russell Westbrook, I think he's worked pretty well for the most part with a lot of different people. Now, Russ and Jokic this year, again, they have a smaller sample size, 347 minutes. So that's, it's pretty good. Russ and Jokic this year, they're plus 4.3 with a 111 defensive rating. And the reason why that's important, because if a defense can like be set and then you can kind of learn against what they're doing in those situations, I think you're just able to kind of pick it apart. And what I love to see about what Russ is doing is Russ and Jokic and Russ and Murray. And that was so special yesterday, y'all. That was probably my biggest takeaway. I don't know if you remember, but when they first started the game, Russ was diving to the rim. He was cutting to the rim. He was dribbling to the rim, but he was really working his hardest to try to find Jamal Murray. And Jamal Murray ended up getting a wide open three-pointer in the game. And then I think if you just kind of look over the course of the game as well, Russ's defensive impact, like his ability to kind of tag off his player, go get the ball off of De'Aaron Fox, run in transition, which is what De'Aaron Fox did. Like, again, it's just like there's so many different things that he just allowed for the Nuggets to be able to do. And I think really excelling in the margin things, like excelling in the hustle stats and the rebounding and the offensive rebounding. That's the kind of stuff that Russ adds that doesn't necessarily show up on paper. And that's why it's rags to riches. Because when he was in LA, the way that he was discussed was just this idea that, like, you just can't work with him. And he's not going to be willing to buy into the team concept and do the small things to help his team. And I'm just sitting here watching so far and saying, I just can't even just imagine things being a little bit further away from the truth about somebody. Honestly, he's been like a revelation. And, I would say the Nuggets have, Calvin Booth's joke that they have 9 real guys, or maybe not joke, 9 real guys going into the season. I think that Russ is like solidified. He is the 6th guy, 1,000%. 1,000%. And I think that being able to rely on a ball handler like that, like, man, it's just crazy. Because, again, having another distributor playmaker in your starting lineup, man, it just adds to it. Like, all of it. It just continues to add. So, overall, man, I think Russ has been impressive. I think Russ has really tried to make it work with the bench units. And I would say that Russ is not the biggest reason, like, why they've been – I think they struggled a lot of games. Like, some of this is, you just want to like be able to operate better and not have as many turnovers. But again, I just can't complain about that personally, because you're getting so much value. Like, yeah, he had 3 turnovers, but then he had 11 assists yesterday. Like, that's a lot. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's a lot for you to be able to convert that way. And the thing is, his passes are not all the Jokic. Now, a good bit of them are, but being able to kind of do this around other wings, I think it just goes to show you like kind of how difficult everything is to try to be able to just to win on the margin and stuff. But I think Russ, he really adds so much to that. On the other side, y'all, are the Nuggets going streaking? They've won 3 in a row. They won 3 in a row. They should have some eligible team that are going to come up that should be a little bit easier on their schedule, and I think can help them to really stack up wins for the rest of the year. Y'all, we're going to talk about all that and more here at Locked On Nuggets. Y'all, with Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.25% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on IRA account contributions. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com/robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product specific disclosure, visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risks. Rates may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. And y'all, did Rocket Money help you to find any subscriptions you forgot about or were paying for twice? That definitely has helped me, y'all. I've had a few subscriptions that I forgot about, didn't even realize I was paying for them, and Rocket Money made it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so that you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the galas you want to attend this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscription, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's premium benefit features. For me, I think that one of the best things I love to use about Rocket is just being able to kind of see the outline of how like my finances is used, from automotive stuff to groceries to DoorDash to entertainment, all that stuff. It's really helpful. So cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. We'll be right back for more here at Locked On Nuggets. We are back here for the final segment here at Locked On Nuggets. And y'all, I do think that this is going to be a very interesting stretch of games. And here's why. Have y'all looked at the schedule? It's okay if you haven't. But y'all, the Nuggets, they're 14-10. And if you look at the current seeding and where they are, I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised. The Nuggets are 14-10. They currently have a half-game lead in the 5th seed. They're a half game in front of the Suns. There are 2 full games back of the Mavericks, of the Rockets, and the Grizzlies for the 2 seed. 2 full games back. Now, in the Nuggets case, because they played less games than everybody, the Nuggets are just 1 loss away from being the number 2 overall seed. And if you look at the schedule that's upcoming for them, they have the Trailblazers in Portland. They have the Pelicans in New Orleans. They have the Suns on December 23rd. And then that's going to be in Denver. And then they got the Suns in Phoenix. And then they got Cleveland in Denver. They got the Pistons in Denver. And then they got Utah. So this is going to be a very interesting slate of games because there are very winnable games here. And I think there are some games that are going to be able to push them because what the Nuggets have done is over the course of time, they really have just tried to find a way to maximize what they have on their roster, maximize their personnel, and just make good decisions and give good effort on the defensive end. That's really been the biggest issue. It's just continuing to find ways that when your offense gets choppy to defend. And then once you can defend, you can work on everything else. And I think in these kind of games versus the Blazers and Pelicans, man, especially obviously with Jokic on the court, they're just going to have real opportunity to, I think, to be able to shed some light and some difference on what exactly is happening, with the Denver Nuggets as each week progresses in the season. But I'm actually really excited for this, man, because, if you would have told me that after that start and after all the stuff they've had to deal with, that the Nuggets could be in a situation where they'll be sitting at 14-10, despite all of the everything and anything that kind of kept those two apart, then yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, then we're living at that point, because even if you turn me that Jamal Murray, it's like on a slow uptick that like each week he's progressing. Each week he's getting better. Each week he looks like the player that you thought you might get. And I love yesterday how aggressive he was being. Again, he missed a lot of shots. So did Jokic. But you still want those kind of performances because you just want to be able to show that you can create and show that you can bounce back. Like, all that stuff is like, wildly important. And I think it just, that kind of context is always needed. But I'm excited, man, because, let's see here. Jamal Murray, last 7 games. Jamal in his last 7 games, he's averaging, so we're getting 18 points per game, 6 assists, 4 rebounds. He's shooting 33% from 3 and 48% from the field. Yeah, I think that, again, the uptick is there. And I think if you just continue to, like, watch him get in and out of his breaks, in and out of his spots, I think that stuff is really going to continue to aid the team. And I love the fact that him and Russ are also figuring out some kind of chemistry as well. And I think the thing about Jokic, you're watching this, he's kind of peeled back some of the individual greatness in the last 2 games, whatever that means. Like, he's still having like very good performances, but you're not following everything like that he's doing and tracking. And I think the team needs to get more involved. And by more involved, that's not on Joker, that's on everybody else doing what they're supposed to do. And it feels like in this instance, I just think it's just a matter of like, how did the Nuggets continue to find ways to maximize, like, okay, we got this great player, but like, let's make sure we're operating around him correctly. Because once they get into the playoffs, especially, teams are going to be keying in on Joker to try to slow him down and stop him. But, if they can continue to develop good habits over the course of the year, I think that would end up being really important. But I'm excited. Jamal Murray, last 6 games, 20 points, 6 assists, 3 rebounds, 47, 38 splits, 93% from the field. 26 and 3 on 47, 38, 93 from the field, or 93 from the free throw line. I can get with that. I think Jamal needs to continue to get his volume up for sure. The more threes you can take, the better. But again, you like that it's gone from like 39%. Now, it's going up on the, I think across the board, like on the free throws and all that kind of stuff. Like, all that stuff is just going to continue to help him to get into rhythm. I think Aaron Gordon coming back, him hitting 3 steal is really important. Because again, if you can give the Nuggets at least another player, like, just another player that's able to kind of consistently be able to hit. I mean, it's just stuff like that, man. Stuff that makes a difference. By the way, Michael Porter Jr., he was only 4-7 from the field yesterday. Now, granted, he had 11 and 10, so he had a double-double, but he was good. But definitely after they got that big lead and they started trying to fight to keep the lead or get back in the game, he did get a little bit iced out. For sure, got a little bit iced out. And so we're going to have to figure out kind of how some of those rotations and stuff work, obviously. But, that was just yeah, just, a lot going on. But Russell Westbrook, man, again, I can't say enough, y'all. He continuing to play really well for this team. I love his effort, love his energy, love the defense, love the enthusiasm. And Jokic, what can I say? Best player in the world. Y'all know what time it is. This is going to be, I think, a very fun season. Locked On Nuggets, we're going to be here with you all year. Y'all know what time it is. See you on the other side.